Hey, Walter Sorrells back with more tips for the knife maker. Today, the most underrated tools in the knife maker's shop. So I've done a lot of videos in the past where I'm talking about the most uber cool, high speed, low drag type tools, the ones that really make your pulse race. Well, that's not what we're doing today. We're going into the most humble and sad little tools in the corners of your shop. This right here is the king of the knife maker's shop, the professional grade belt grinder. But as I've said about 1 billion times in my videos, knife making is not all about expensive professional grade tools. So today I've picked out the runts of the litter, an assemblage of relatively inexpensive tools often taken for granted that to me are actually crucial for knife making. Now I'm mostly having fun here, but as with most humor, there's seriousness behind it. Oh yeah, tool porn connoisseurs, check this out. Yeah. Tool number one, the paper towel. Okay, go ahead and laugh. Now go out to your shop and try to make a knife without using any paper towels. Seriously, not a day goes by that I don't use a paper towel. Maybe even a shit ton of them. Now, if you're living in metric world and are not familiar with the imperial measurement system, a shit ton is approximately 2.7 times larger than a metric ton. So, it's a lot. Clamps. For real, there is no such thing as having too many clamps. Welder's clamps, C-clamps, bar clamps, big clamps, little clamps, crappy clamps. You can find cheap ones at places like Harbor Freight. You can buy them at swap meets. You can buy fancy precision clamps. But you'll need them. You will. You'll never have enough. You'll never have the right ones. This is why Buddhism was invented. The founder of Buddhism ran out of clamps and had to invent a whole religion just to deal with the despair he felt. Seriously, look it up. Number 3. Flat stuff. So, I did one of my Friday Fives the other day about flatness. Now, flatness is really important in knife making. And in order to make stuff flat, you have to start with other flat things. Wood? Nope, not flat enough. Chipboard? Super big chipboard? Nope. But MDF? Yeah, actually pretty darn flat. Just don't use oil on it or it'll swell up and you'll get MDF cancer. Now glass is great, but it breaks, which is why I don't have any right now. Micarta? Perfect. A machinist surface plate? Total overkill. That said, you can buy out-of-tolerance surface plates on eBay for fairly reasonable prices and do all kinds of cool things. Number 4, the bench vise. Of all the things I'll mention today, this is potentially the most expensive item, but still you can buy them on Craigslist and at flea markets. I have a bunch of them, and I use them virtually every day. Plan on tailoring them a little. Personally, I tape leather on the jaws, but vise jaws are replaceable, so if you want to go a little more uptown, you can take off the factory steel jaws and replace them with plastic jaws, aluminum jaws, lead jaws, copper jaws. You name it. There are a lot of ways to do it, but the basic idea is that you're softening up that surface so that it won't mar work surfaces, or sometimes you might want to mold them to unusual shaped parts. This is probably the crappiest vise I own, but I put it here in the most convenient location in the shop way back when and never moved it. And guess what? Convenience trumps excellence all the time. Still works fine. Number 5, the square. This cheap Chinese machinist square has a million uses in the shop. And for what I do, they're much more useful than, say, carpenter's squares. Now, I bought a set of these from Grizzly many years ago, and I use them all the time. I want to say I paid maybe 20 bucks for them. Look, could I get a set of super expensive Starrett squares? Sure, but for most of the things that I do, they'd actually be less useful than these beaters because I'd be wiping the abrasives off of them and putting them in their special little case and all that. Look, why go through all that rigmarole for stuff like truing up a disc grinder table? It just makes no sense. So these I can leave out on my workbench. They're here all the time, and if they fall on the floor, I do not care. These are cheap-ass digital calipers. Now, can you buy $200 Minatoya calipers? Yes. Are they better? Yes. I own Minatoya measuring tools, and I use them when I'm doing things where a thousandth makes a big difference. But it's the same deal as with squares. I'm a smith. A lot of the times I'm measuring things that are 1500 degrees, and the tolerances are not that important. Now, you don't want to use your beautiful Starrett for that. Or, a lot of times I'm measuring things where a hundredth of an inch is pretty important, but a thousandth is not. Again, I don't want my Minatoya lying on the table where it's going to get pushed on the floor all the time. Do this to your hand lap precision American-made brown and sharp caliper, and it's crying time in Georgia. These taps. I bought this Home Depot budget model type tapping set years ago. It's not terrible, but it's not super high quality either, and I've gotten tons of use out of it. Again, you can buy the really fancy high quality machinist grade stuff if you have a specific need for it. But by and large, what I'm doing with my taps is tapping a hole or two for a jig or a fixture or some odd little low precision one-off kind of tool, and for that these work great. One thing about tap sets is you also want appropriately sized drill bits. Many imperial-sized taps require number-sized drills, which you can't necessarily get down at the corner hardware store. I mean, you can go to the hardware store and buy a tap and the drill that goes with it, but if you do that, you're inevitably going to end up with way too many taps or way too many drills, so it makes more sense to get them just when you need them. So I'd recommend that you buy a number 7 drill and some other common tap-sized drills when you buy the tap set. Then you don't have to improvise when you suddenly just need that 1028 hole. Now look, can you fudge and use the closest size fractional drill? No, never. I would never do a thing like that. The great frowning machinist in the sky would never approve of that. Always use the proper tool for the job. The humble drill bit. It's the Rodney Dangerfield of the shop. It gets no respect. Now, professional machinists start peeing in their pants when you call this a bit. It's a twist drill. They come in jobber length, screw length drills, which are shorter, spotting drills, even shorter, and then you can get other kinds of drills that are not twist drills. Spade drills, combo countersink drills, chamfer point drills, and then there's carbide, there's high-speed steel, there's cobalt, on and on. Many, many choices. And all of them have specific little jobs that they do better or worse than other drills. Now, the cheapest drills are made from what's known as high-speed steel. Personally, I like cobalt, though, which lasts a good deal longer. 90% of the drilling I do is tool steel, and high-speed steel is really just not all that happy drilling tool steel all day. And forget those titanium nitride-coated high-speed steel drills. Great for many uses, yes, but drilling tool steel all day, not so much. Now, carbide lasts way longer in theory, but it costs about 3 times as much as cobalt, and it's finickier in a variety of nerdy ways that I won't get into here. So for me, cobalt's kind of that happy medium. Sandpaper. Is sandpaper a tool? Yes, my friend, it is, even though it's not made out of metal and doesn't say Craftsman on the side. I would know because I'm on YouTube. In all seriousness, though, abrasives are actually the biggest consumable expense in most knife makers' shops. Many knife makers spend a lot more on abrasives than they do on steel. Good old wet or dry sandpaper is the go-to type in the knife maker's shop. You can put oil on it or even water, soapy water, various other things, and it won't load up quite as fast and you can use it longer than a conventional dry sandpaper. You want a wide variety of grits from 80 or so up to 1,000 or so. Now, typically I use woodworking sandpaper for the heavier grits, then wet or dry from, say, 220 on up. There's a lot of interesting innovation in abrasives these days, so try lots of different types of sandpaper and see what you like. Number 9, files. I've waxed rhapsodical about files in a lot of my videos, so I won't go too deep into the subject here. It probably gets tedious after a while. But hey, I'll say it again anyway. Just about anything that can be done in the way of metalworking can be done with a file. You can flatten, sharpen, round, decorate, relieve, chamfer, undercut, shape, broach. I could go on and on. There are bastard files, mill files, riffler files, diamond files, Swiss pattern files, hobby files, chainsaw files, rounds, half rounds, squares, triangles, files with safe sides. There are woodworking files, checkering files. The list just goes on and on and on. Buy the best files you can afford. Quality matters here. If you're just getting started, start with a 10-inch bastard file. Then move on to a mill file, then some round files and some hobby files, maybe a half round. Number 10. Well, duh, what kind of knife maker wouldn't have a knife in their shop? I use them all the time. Of course, I use this, my personal carry Tactics Armory Shadow, handmade by yours truly most of the time. It's got 1,001 uses, self-defense only being one of them. Here's use number 637. So you might get the impression from watching this video that I'm encouraging you to fill your shop with the crappiest tools on the market. Absolutely not. As a general rule, you want to buy the best tools you can. Those are the ones that last and the ones that work best. But there are a lot of places in your shop where the most humble little tool will do the job just as well. Hey guys, if you found value in this video, I hope you'll consider partnering with the channel to help us bring more videos, better videos, more knives, more techniques, all that cool stuff. Click the link to Patreon to help this channel. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, bro, what are you waiting on? And check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Also, if you're into Japanese swords, check out my website, waltersorrellsblades.com, where you'll see more of my work and where you'll find videos about the making of Japanese swords, along with mounting, fittings, polishing, hamones, all kinds of good stuff. Now, more videos,